All right, everyone. This is the American Werewolf, and I just got back home after watching Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire, which, as you can see, is the #1 movie in the world. It's looking at, after the weekend, the box office is looking at just under $200 million worldwide. And we're looking at about $80 million domestic, 114 million internationally, 194 million all total, and some change, going up against a $130 million budget. So we're already talking about profit. Now, the problem that I have with this film is that, one, I've been home for about an hour now, and I've already forgotten what it's about. It's that forgettable. And it's almost unfair because you can't talk about this movie without making some comparison to Godzilla -1, which might be the greatest Godzilla movie of all time, and was just a fantastic piece of cinema, which had this just amazing story in the post-World War II era. This is a continuation of the MonsterVerse, following off the heels of Kong versus Godzilla before Godzilla versus Kong. I won't get into spoilers here, but basically we've gone into new levels in the center of the earth, new discoveries, new dangers that force Godzilla and Kong to join together this time. Now, we had some enjoyable parts because I wasn't looking forward to this film at all. But then I went to go see it, and I talked to some other friends who said it wasn't half bad, and it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. But the story is, like I said, it's already gone out of my head, any of the real details, because it's not important. They're focusing on CGI and fights. So let's get into that, the strong points, the CGI and the fights. I found that the CGI, especially for some of the close-up shots, it didn't look great. It wasn't a great look. I didn't feel connected to it or anything like I did with -1, which had you on the edge of your seat at all times. And the fights were predictable. There were some fights in the middle that I got into. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting, but it didn't really hold me. The fights at the end, predictable. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you anything, even though I'm not going to get into spoilers. You have some idea of probably how it's going to turn out. So that brings me to the characters. You had some interesting, one-liner kind of things going on back and forth. But not much more than that. Some of the recurring characters from Godzilla, V. Kong, but I didn't really care. And saying all that, at the same time, I can't tell you that I didn't enjoy myself, because I had my bag of popcorn, had my medium popcorn, and I was just, shoving some popcorn down my throat and watching this Godzilla movie. So it's just, as my friend Eric would say, it's a fun movie. If you're looking for a comparison or some sort of competition with -1, you're not going to get that. I think that largely the MonsterVerse has fallen off, although it's made a couple of $1 billion off of 4 or 5 movies now. So it's clearly profitable, but it's just not what I originally enjoyed in Gareth Edwards' original film, which was dark and murky, and you had Bryan Cranston in there for the first 30 minutes of the film, and you had Ken Watanabe in there, and just some Aaron Taylor Johnson, and you had Elizabeth Olsen, and you had real actors that you pretty much cared about, and the action left you there on the edge of your seat, and you had these Lovecraftian monsters, the Mutos, and you have David Strahan. I can never remember his name. David Strahan. He plays the admiral, the military guy. And you just had characters that you kind of gave a crap about, and a story that you kind of gave a crap about. This, as we've continued, I enjoyed Kong Skull Island. I thought that was another great film. You had another great cast: Hiddleston, Samuel Jackson, John Goodman, John C. Riley. I mean, just and a story. I thought it was really original in that it was set in Vietnam, or just right like a week after the Vietnam War ends. So people are still on edge from that. I thought that was just a great story. And then we started to get into King of the Monsters, which had a lot of cool monsters. I mean, you had Rodan and you had Mothra and King Ghidorah, but you had a story that you didn't really care about. And even though you had Vera Farmiga, who was kind of like the climate change Nazi, who thought that humans ought to be eradicated because humans are clearly the problem. Again, Millie Bobby Brown, she was in there. You could see where the stories were starting to drop off and you were just getting action. And then you went into Kong versus Godzilla, which was clearly just about the fights. And then you've gotten into this, where, like I said, an hour after I left, I think at 6 o'clock or something like that. It's 7:30 now. I barely remember what the story was about. So, like my friend Eric says, it's fun, but also like my friend James Hancock says, completely forgettable. Just completely forgettable. So, how do I rate this film? I'm going to go with 2.5 out of 5. My system goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. 2.5 out of 5. It's fun to go catch in the theater. I have the Regal app, so Regal Unlimited. I pay $23 a month, so every movie I see is free. So it's worth it that way. If I had paid $15 to see this, though, I would have been a little annoyed. I definitely would have been a little annoyed. So, yeah, that's my review for this. If you want to spend $15 to go see it, you can. If you want to wait and you got a good home system and you just want to watch it there, that's fine too. This is not necessary. It's fun to go see, like all sci-fi on the big screen, but this isn't Gareth Edwards, the creator, or Dune Part 2 or anything like that. It's just a dumb, fun action movie. But it reminded me of a movie that came out quite a while ago now, and I would love to get this on the channel. Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim, which might be the ultimate kaiju movie after -1. I mean, if you want to talk about what fun, blockbustery action kind of kaiju movies can be in terms of as good as it gets, then you want to talk about Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. This, unfortunately, is not that. So that's my review. Like this video. Leave a comment. Have you gone to see it? Are you going to go see it? Do you have no interest in seeing it? Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody. God bless.